Welcome back to Close Up. Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky just came to New Hampshire to help out his fellow Democrats. We spoke one-on-one with him about getting his party back in the win column and his own plans looking ahead to 2028. Governor Beshear, thanks for coming to the station. We appreciate it. You're here to help out your fellow Democrats. What's the best way to do that, to help them regain majorities and regain power politically?
Well, I'm out trying to be a reasonable voice in this chaos, to lift up Democrats, but I also hope Republicans and independents to ultimately not move this country to the right or left, but just move it forward. And that means supporting Democrats that care about people's needs when they wake up in the morning and go to bed at night. The idea that those folks aren't thinking about the next election, they're thinking about their job, the roads and bridges they drive, their next doctor's appointment, the school they drop their kids off at, and whether they feel safe in their communities. So I'm looking forward to supporting a lot of folks today that are going to go to the House here in New Hampshire and fight for your families.
You know, this is Democratic Party started out as a working class party, and it appears, looking at the polls, it's starting to lose that connection. What's the best way to reestablish that working class connection for Democrats?
Yeah, the way to re-earn the faith of the American people is to show that we're going to spend 80% of our time working on things that matter to 100% of the American people. That we recognize your job isn't red or blue, it's just critical for your family. And we've got to prove that we're the party that's going to put in the work so you can make a little extra money. So you can not only afford that grocery bill at the end of the week, but you can afford that vacation maybe you've been having to put off. To prove to people that we care about them every day and that we work and do our best to better their lives.
How is this government shutdown in the benefit of the American people?
Well, first, to all the families that are impacted by the shutdown, we're thinking about you, we care about you, and we want to do everything we can to help. But what Democrats in D.C. are doing is trying to prevent people's health care costs from doubling or significantly going up. Donald Trump's tariffs are making everyday items that we depend on cost more. They're making the cost of housing cost more. The big ugly bill is already impacting other areas of health care, and people are going to lose their job in rural hospitals. Add on top of that, making your health insurance cost more, and this is for everybody across the board. The American people simply can't afford it. And all Donald Trump has to do is to say we're going to extend those subsidies, we're going to keep costs low on the American people, and that's what he promised to do when he ran anyways.
The president saying today he's considering invoking the Insurrection Act in his effort to sort of make American cities safer. What are your thoughts on that, and is that an appropriate action by the president?
No. I mean, it is unlawful. There is no insurrection going on in America, and we all know that. And you, as the president, can't send one state's National Guard into another state that does not want them. That is not how America works. If you want to reduce crime, you've got to put in the hard work. You've got to provide the dollars to hire more police officers. You've got to have more ways to get to youth that are in the criminal justice system or might fall into it and provide that extra assistance. You've got to work to reduce recidivism by making sure that you teach skills in your jails and in your prisons. All of that takes hard work, but it actually reduces crime in the long term. What Donald Trump's trying to do is pick a fight, and he certainly does not have the legal authority to send Texas National Guard into some other state that doesn't want them.
You know, in the states, the conversation as we head towards 2028 is going to be about the presidential race. And the Democratic Party took the primary away from New Hampshire the last time. Do you think New Hampshire could get its first in the nation status back in this next primary?
From what I hear, that discussion is going to be robust. That goes on at the DNC. As the head of the DGA, I'm trying to make sure we're focused on 26. That today we're working to elect a lot of local Democrats in 26, and I'll be head of the Democratic Governors Association in 2026, and we're going to change the map.
And do you think we're going to see you back here running for president someday?
Well, right now, again, I'm trying to be that reasonable voice in the chaos. And then next year, my goal is to win governor's races all across the United States. And then after that, I'll sit down with my family and we'll consider. And what we'll consider is who is the best candidate to heal this country. This us versus them can't continue. Your neighbor is not your enemy. We pledge to the flag and to the country to keep it indivisible, yet we have a divider in chief that's there right now. So the most important thing is that we have a candidate that can bring people back together and to put being Americans first and everything else second, third, or fourth.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add while you're here in New Hampshire, Governor?
It's great to be in New Hampshire. It's beautiful. I'm going to be in 3 different cities and just grateful for the invitation to help.